So I thought I would do a first timer's gear oil change on a Mercury Verado 200. This is on a 2016 Mako 204 center console. So I've never done this before. I've only looked online and didn't see anything specific to this motor. I only saw it specific to some of the other Verado motors, but I'm assuming it's the same. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. It doesn't look too complicated. I've gone through the break-in procedures and now I'm going to change the gear oil for the first time. Never done it before, but it doesn't look too complicated. I think all I got to do is take the prop off and everything I need should be behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see what it looks like. One thing they recommend is just wedging a 2x4 between the propeller and whatever that thing's called. Makes it easier to hold so I can get this out. Guy pops out. Looks like it's a 27 millimeter is what I have. That's the size of the nut that's in there. Looks like there's this. Looks like some kind of lock washer. Not sure. Yes, it is. It looks like it lines up with some tabs on the inside, so I'll have to remember that when I put it back together. Now we just slide the prop off. I just got done using the boat, so there's a bunch of salt away coming out of the motor right now because I just flushed it. But we're gonna go ahead and do this anyway. So, if you're new to boating, which I am, well, I'm new to owning a boat. It looks like everything I've seen online is pretty accurate. Looks like there's a drain bolt right there. With just a flathead screwdriver, and then here is the breather hole at the top where it found. It's basically similar to what I found online, so I wasn't sure when I did this because everything I looked wasn't specific to the Mercury 200 Verado, but I'm guessing that most of the Mercury motors are the same. So there you go, there's the drain bolt. I'm going to go ahead and pop that guy out, put an oil pan underneath here, and I'm gonna wait the 30 minutes while it drains. Gonna go upstairs, have a cup of coffee, and then come back in a little bit, and we'll see how to fill it back up. Couple things. I got the gear lube pump made by Quicksilver. This fits on top of your standard quart oil size. So basically it's just a pump. Looks like something you'd see in your bathroom that just pumps soap. That's all it is. And then the oil they recommend is SAE 90 gear lube. You can either get the Mercury or the Quicksilver brands, but this is what I chose. This is what I found online is what you're supposed to use. They didn't carry Mercury at the local retailer. They only carry Quicksilver. It's a West Marine where I live, but Mercury recommends this or their brand. It's probably the same at the end of the day. So just finishing up draining the oil. So just basically the same as what you see online. That's the drain bolt. It's pretty consistent with what I found. Again, it's really hard to find information on a lot of things, and I want to try and be as specific as possible, but this is for the Mercury Verado 200 horsepower on a 2016 Mako 204 center console. Just couldn't find that specific thing when I looked online, but that's the motor. See, it's got the Verado, it's the 200. Anytime I search the specifics of what I need, I can never seem to find it. So I just thought it'd be good to throw in some of the details for you so you know if you have this motor, you can be confident that what you're seeing is exactly what your motor will look like when you take it apart to do the gear change or the gear oil change. So I'm done draining the oil, the gear oil, so now I'm going to use this pump to try and get the oil back into the system. I've already discovered a problem here. This brass bushing is in the way, and I can't get this to thread into this hole at the bottom. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. That was not in the video, so not really sure how I can get this in. I just can't make a straight shot in there because this bushing is in the way. I don't know if that's supposed to come out or not, but this won't allow me to thread this into here. So a little bit of an issue. I'm gonna have to pause for a minute and see what I can do about this. Well, lo and behold, this comes off pretty easy. I just pried it off with a screwdriver. I just went like this and it popped right off. Looks like it's a compression fitting, so this has got a taper to it, and that bushing just sits on there with a press fit. So now I can take my filler and I can thread it in that hole. So basically just waiting for it to come out of that hole right there. I feel like I've only got about half a quart in there so far. If what I read online is accurate, it should be about a quart to fill it. I bought an extra quart just in case, but one of those things, it's really hard to find the information that you need. Especially when there's just so many different brands and techniques and versions and models, and every year they change everything, so it's hard to find information. Even though it's out there, it takes some time. So I'm just shy of a quart. You got about 4 ounces left in the bottle, and it's just coming out of the top. You can see it's dripping. I'm still pumping right now. It's I think it's all just settling, but looks like it's about a quart. Yep, it's basically a quart to fill it. So I wasn't sure, so I bought 2 quarts, but it looks like a quart will do it. There's also a little washer. It stayed up here on this hole, but I'm going to, well, first I'm going to wipe this up, and then the next thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put this, and just make sure that washer doesn't get lost, but it happened to stay up in that hole. So you're supposed to put that on there and torque it down pretty good. So before you pull the filler off the bottom, you're supposed to cap the plug at the top, and then the bottom has your screw, but make sure that you don't lose track of this washer, because that'll keep it sealed. So now just put everything back together in reverse. So we'll take this guy off, and you're supposed to be ready with the screw. This oil's pretty thick, so it doesn't drain very fast. But you're supposed to get that screw on there as soon as this comes out, so you don't lose too much oil. Get back in the hole. Once you got it in there, just go ahead and tighten it down. You'll probably fast forward through most of this video, or you can just watch a different video. The Mercury videos, I think it's only like 2.5 minutes, and this just validates that what's online is accurate, even though it doesn't say it's for this specific motor. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's probably all very similar. So just give this a good wipe. Inside of there, clean that out. check that this is tight. So that's good and tight. That's good and tight. Final wipe. And then put the brass collar back on. That's good to go. And just like anything else, you just put things back in the reverse order you took it apart. A lot of times I like to take pictures before I take anything apart, but this wasn't the case. This is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of parts here to mess with. The most important part is when you put the prop back on, to make sure you get this washer back on and make sure this lines up with the little tabs that's inside the propeller. I'll show you inside the prop. I don't know if you can see inside of there, but there's these little tabs. You just got to make sure this thing lines up with those when it goes on there. So when you set your nut on there, it's going to lock it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. Not sure what the torque spec is on this. Probably says somewhere on here, so you don't have to go very far. If not, I'll just go check the manual. But it felt like it was about 30 foot-pounds when I took it off. So let's go ahead and put this block of wood up here. Just use that. I'm actually surprised they don't have a cotter pin on these, especially since it's not reverse thread. But I guess it doesn't seem to be a problem coming off. I'll double check the torque on that before I call this done, but there you go. That's a gear oil change on a Mercury 200 Verado. Pretty straightforward, first time I've done this. I'd say it's from a difficulty of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, I'd say this is a 1. This is pretty simple. There's not a lot to it, so